So this is a little post unboxing review. I just want to compare the shark to the actual shark in the film. So I had a look through Jaws Memories from Martha's Vineyard, which is a very extensive making of Jaws book. And I've just bookmarked a couple of pages. I had some photos from Jaws, and I've got a few pages in a folio of pictures I've gotten from magazines, but this was the best reference. And there's a few little things that are off. Not major, but just a few little things. If you look at just the width of Jaws' mouth, basically, of Bruce's mouth, it's kind of straight till about the eye, and then it drops down into the little jowl. And they've got the jowl there, but this is a much rounder one. The jaw only goes to about there, which is quite short of the eye, and it scoops down sort of, and is more of a round, more natural shape, rather than the actual shark when you looked at him. From the front, there was quite a line, like I said, to about under the eye, and then a sharp drop, and it looked even worse when his mouth was closed. And from the front, when his mouth was closed, it would look like there was like this straight line of the jaw. So you'd see the whole top of the jaw, and then there'd just be the drop for the jowl. And there was another couple of pictures, and I think also when his mouth was closed, it was a bit different. But also when it got sort of waterlogged, I think it sort of sat differently. And when its mouth was all the way open, as opposed to closed, like it'd get like a crease here, and they made several different models: a left shark, a right shark, and a couple of other just the heads and the whole top, and they're all a little different. So there's really no like exact Bruce, and Bruce kind of looked different depending on how he was being used. So I love the toy. I love the fact I have a Jaws toy and a Bruce toy. But yeah, really should be, the top of the mouth should be wider, flatter, and there should be a bit of a gap between the teeth and the outside skin. There should be a little bit like a red line at least. So I'm tempted to like resculpt a little bit and repaint it, because I want to get rid of the writing on the underside. So I might do that one day, or maybe I'll just make my own, or buy a model shark and alter that or something. I don't know, but it'll do for now. There was also a very strong line, between the white and the grey along here, and his little fins here were white, so it's not totally accurate. I'd like to think it's like an amalgamation of all the different Bruces in the films, but they're all pretty similar. And there was even more of a gap between the jaw here, where it would drop down in the Jaws 3 and 4 shark. So they it's moulded more like, I think, a real shark in some ways than Bruce himself. They should have just made it a replica of Bruce, although I know there is a more accurate sculpture like Bruce that you can get from somebody. I haven't researched it, because once I do, I'll want it, and I know it's very expensive, so I'm going to wait until my budget can afford a bigger Bruce. But until then, this is cool, but it's like the action figure Jaws, and I want more of a Bruce accurate sculpture Jaws as well. Another thing I noticed is that there is no the fin is just like stuck on top, and there's a line at the edge of it. With the real shark, and with a real shark, of course, it's a smooth flow between the fin and the body. There's no like line, there's no like cut there. I don't know why they did that, because if they were moulding it in two parts, this could have all been one part and sculpted perfectly. There still is a gap there. If you had a separate part here, you would think you wouldn't have the line issue here. So I'm not quite sure how they decided that. And the other thing I forgot to mention is this here is too wide. The Bruce Shark, this was narrower and a little rounder. The line was still here, like in a real shark, but the line was just more round shape here, and this would be further back, so it'd be thinner here, and the eye would bug out more. So it's another little thing that's off. So basically the jaw isn't wide enough, and top of the nose, I guess, is too wide and a little flat. So it just changes the look a little bit. As you can see, the mouth looks smaller, and no, I don't know what to call the top of the head looks a bit wider. So I've noticed a few little things that are off, but they're not drastic. But I mean, that just should be a little narrower, that should be a little wider, and there should be a bit of a line between the teeth and the jaw. So from some photos it looks like the model and the model looks like it, but other photos you can see differences. So maybe they just had a couple of reference photos and they didn't have enough reference photos. But that's sort of my little review. I just found a few little things that I thought were off, but overall it's still got the main things that look like Bruce to me, which is the jowl and just the general shape, and you don't notice that too much. Oh, and another small little thing. Although the original jaw was quite round, like this, the very, very tip, it sort of dropped down a little bit here, and the teeth sort of came out and were sticking out, like directly out, not in line with the others, just here. So it gave it a little bit more of a scooped look just on the tip there, and they haven't done that. So there's a few little things that are off, and again, I'm thinking of altering it. Like I could scrape that down, put in a couple little teeth and paint it so it dips down a little bit there. I could sculpt that, like cut that out a little bit and make that a little bit more the shape it was, and see a little bit more of those teeth. It wouldn't be that difficult. And get rid of the writing on the bottom and repaint it so there's more of a white line between the white and the grey here. But I wouldn't want it to be a dead sharp line like on the actual shark. I'd still want it graded because this has its own beauty, I guess. It sort of has a sort of softer sort of blending of the colours and that, and he has his own, this Bruce has his own unique beauty, but he's not exactly like the real Bruce. But like I said, it'll do for now. I'll get the very expensive one day, or I'll make my own that is like perfect in my eye, which a lot of collectors, they have their own idea of what a prop or something should look like, as opposed to what other people's versions look like or what the actual thing actually looked like. But I'm going to go. I don't know, I might put this up as a separate review, so feel free to share, like, subscribe, comment, let me know what you think, or what you thought of your jaws, or if you've got a different version, or if you have a model which has different elements, different features from it being put together differently or painted differently. Feel free to let me know. Bye. Another thing, and I feel like I'm just complaining, I mean, I really do like the toy. I'm glad I have it. I always wanted a Jaws toy, a shark that really looked like Bruce, or was actually an official one rather than the cheap little sort of plastic ones you find at like Kmart and stuff. But the size, he's actually not in scale with the figures. I kind of thought he was. I thought he'd be bigger. And I thought when I saw it in store it was bigger, and then when I got it I thought it's smaller than I thought, but I thought it must just be the way I'm perceiving it. But when I actually lined out basically he's 3 figures long, which would make him about 15 feet long. I think about 15 feet, because if you assume these guys are all about 6 feet, that's about 18, so he's a little bit shorter than them, so he's about 16 or 17 feet, not 25 feet, so he'd be another 2 people long. So, but he doesn't look out of scale. When you put a person in his mouth, it doesn't look ridiculous, so it's not that bad. But I wish they'd just done a slightly bigger, slightly more accurate model. But the idea is it's supposed to look like a vintage toy, like they would have made it back in the day. So yeah, and since we didn't have them back in the day, I shouldn't really be complaining now that we actually have them. But yeah.